hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. For a moment, consider the word faith. Faulty faith results in wrong motives. True faith issues in the right motives. So when we look at the word faith, we see that faith is a seed. And the seed is the principle of life. It needs light, heat, and moisture. One time in reading the Bible, there were some men facing, if you will, the demands of Jesus. And they were conscious of their own weakness, said to Jesus, increase our faith. What Jesus did, he pointed out to them that the life principle in that grain of mustard seed that he told them. And because of that, in the development of the mustard seed, it would produce results. People are still praying for an increase of faith. I remember years ago we used to testify. We put in a request. And our request before going in prayer, almost all the saints would say, my request is that the Lord would increase my faith. Didn't need an increase of faith, they just needed, as Jesus said, you don't need more faith, but faith of a different kind and nature. Not quantity, but quality. So then I say that faith is that which has in it a principle of life. And so if you're going to have faith, there are three things that a living faith has. Now, I don't know what kind of faith you got, but there are three things that a living faith has. Number one is conviction. Conviction concerning God. And that means, in terms of that conviction, that you find yourself guilty of sin before God. Number two, experience. The experience of a relationship with God. You can't have a relationship with God until you have been convicted of sin. It was the first one. The third one is obedience to God. And what that means is that you have to have absolute submission to Him, body, soul, and spirit, time, talent, and treasure. The principle, that faith principle, is always that of seeking and acting wholly and only in the will of God. Acting wholly and only in the will of God. Remember that. And when we go to St. Luke 22, verse 31, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. That's letting us know is that there is conflict. And that's our subject that we're going to talk about briefly. It is conflict. When we finish the message, some of you will be in conflict. But there is a way out. We're living in an age of conflict. And because we're human, we have to operate in the midst of conflict. We are human, and we're going to operate in the midst of conflicts. We're torn by conflicting hungers. We got all kinds of hunger. There are folk who just hunger for drugs, hunger for alcohol, hunger for sex, hunger for this, and hunger for that. You don't find too many folk hungering after righteousness. The Lord tells us to hunger after righteousness. Our responses to fundamental desires for food, for shelter, for sex, for rest, for social dominance, and approval appear to run counter to one another. These are all conflicting forces within us, within our lives, within each one of you. They're always in conflict. Hallelujah. Not only that, the importance or the influences of our environment play an important part in shaping our lives. Yes. And such influences commonly run counter to our primitive instincts. You know it's wrong to take drugs. You know it's wrong to get drunk. You know it's wrong to lie, to steal. You know it's wrong to hate. Hallelujah. But some of you are in conflict. Hallelujah. You know you shouldn't, and you know the Bible tells you to love, but you're in conflict and you just can't seem to deal with that conflict because there is warring in you a spirit, a nature, which tells you to do wrong when you know to do right. And you remember the song, Ain't Nobody Gonna Turn Me Around. Hallelujah. And you all can sing that with such fervor, such power, such confidence. Nobody gonna turn me around. And you mean that. You mean it. And you just are not singing about not being turned aside from God. You are letting everybody know you ain't gonna change from who you really are. And can't nobody turn you around. But there is a God. Some of us are in dire conflicts. We have different contradictions of human nature. The worst people are not bad all the time. And the good people are not good all the time. Jesus comes to us as he came to the early Christians who were divided and bewildered men and women of the first century. That was the first century. He brings to us his good news that there is hope for every one of us in this 21st century. Isn't that strange that we have went through 20 centuries since Jesus Christ was here, and we still haven't learned how to get along with one another. But Jesus can restore order and purpose where now conflict and mutiny exist. Hallelujah. Where you got conflict, you got mutiny. That means folks want to rise up and take over. That's mutiny. You know, on the high seas, mutiny is punished by death. If they catch you, or some of you all thinking you won't be caught. But mutiny is punishable by death. Are you with me? Hallelujah. In his gospel, Jesus' gospel, this saving truth can be brought forth that personality can be achieved only when we organize our lives around one dynamic center. And that, who is that? Jesus. Jesus is the center of my life. Yes. Hallelujah. That is, when we have found and committed ourselves to one inclusive, dominating desire. That desire has to be dominating in you, that Jesus is the center of my life. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And this controlling principle is, as I've said before, like a traffic policeman who stands on duty at the intersection of streets. And he directs the flow of motor vehicles and of pedestrians. He's there for protection of both. Because you just can't drive when you want to drive. Walk where you want to walk. That's what some of you all think that you can do. You can't just walk where you want to walk, talk what you want to talk, say what you want to say, go forward when you want to go forward. Sometimes you got to wait for the light. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Why do you think they put traffic lights on the corners or stoplights? It's to get you in the habit, if you will, of looking out for danger.